Yeah. So mandala is very grand. It's really, it's vast, it's deep, it's really infinite. But I think for the most, common people, for lay people, I think the easiest way to understand the principle of mandala is, so there's something called chaos, chaos. And then juxtaposing that is something called orderly, right? So here, table, chair, all these are orderly. Now, balancing these two, actually going beyond chaos and order is what we want. That's what we need to aim. So the word mandala has this connotation of the rim, the parameter, and the center, but together. You see, this is very paradoxical. Because usually when we talk about the center, we are not talking about the parameter or the boundary, the edge. In our dualistic mind, we have this idea that, the middle has to be in the middle. The moment the word middle is used, then you are always thinking here, not here. But the mandala is not really like that. There's no middle, there's no parameter, there's no edge. It's just, it's one. So with that in mind, the chaos. So in one way, you can approach like this way. Actually, the fundamental cause of all our pain, our suffering, our dissatisfaction is trying to make an order out of chaos. Not being able to appreciate the chaos. Trying to make something, because what it does is it sort of deprives you from spontaneity. It deprives you from being genuine and being not contrived. Basically fabricated, lots of fabricated situation arise. So anyway, so this is one way to look at something called mandala. So now how do we know this? If you look at some of this traditional classic painting or the structure of the mandala, you will have, let's say, a Buddha, such as Vairocana, in the middle, and then surrounded by all the retinue, so many of them, at times, so many. But then, as you explore them, we will hear things like, so central deity is in the middle, let's say, and the retinue deity, one of the retinue deity is, let's say, on the east. So suddenly, when you move your mind, let's say, visualization to the east, that is the center. So the principal, sort of the boss deity, right, the king, is no more a king. Because this is exactly what the Tantra is trying to tell you, that there is no hierarchy. Because hierarchy, again, remember I was telling you, it's orderly. In reality, there is no such thing as higher being, lower being, you understand? So, yeah, this is what mandala should be really conveying. But, most of the ordinary people don't think like that. In fact, the opposite. Now we think of mandala as in, that is the east part of the mandala, that's white, this is the south part of the mandala, usually is the yellow, so on and so forth. But if you go deeper into the mandala, it's not really like that. Both in Buddhism and also in Hinduism, you will find this a lot. For instance, like in Hindu, often when you hear things like, oh, Shiva is the mightiest. But then you also hear some stories, oh, the Kali, without the Kali, Shiva is nothing, like that. All this kind of contradictory. The retinue deity becomes the principal deity. Principal become the, like the retinue of the earlier retinue, so on and so forth. Basically, east, west, south, north, all that is just a fabrication. There is no such thing as east. There is no such thing as west. This is what is being taught in the mandala. I think probably this much is maybe understandable by the sort of the ordinary people. Otherwise, quite big. Okay. Vairocana Buddha is one of the 5 Buddha family. Now, again, I'm speaking to, let's say, I'm speaking to, just any Tom, Dick, Harry, which is difficult. It's not like there is actually some 5 Buddhas sitting somewhere there. So, basically, the 5 Buddha are 5 elements, 5 what do you call it, object of consciousness, which is like form, let's say. So form is the object of eye consciousness. Sound, like the music. That is, so the sound. Okay, so usually sound is the Amitabha Buddha. Okay? It again changes. Okay, but generally, Vairocana Buddha is always the form. So anything that is a form, color, shape, like these buildings, color, this is all Vairocana. This is most beautifully explained in one sutra, where it's really beautiful. It talks about Vairocana, the shape of the Vairocana. So, and the signs. So this is how they explain. So Vairocana Buddha is like this. He's sitting here, and on his hand rests a begging bowl. On top of the begging bowl are 25 lotus flowers sitting on each other. Okay? And counting from the top, counting from the top. Now this is something that I forgot. One of the flowers is one universe, and in this universe there's a planet called Fearless Planet, and this is where we are. Okay, so it's very, like there's a lot of story going on like that. Now then it gets very, again, like many tantric teaching, it talks about how this Vairocana Buddha is just so big. Just imagine, one lotus is just the whole universe, and one of them is our world. So then, in each pore, his body is that whole set. And it talks about how even then the original Vairocana hasn't become bigger to fit in, And this Buddha field, the whole set that is in, remember, inside his paw, they're not like small, tiny, minute, trying to fit in a paw. So see, we are now talking about how shape, color, size is just so depriving. The idea of size, idea of color, idea of shape is actually making you poor. You are stuck with things like, oh, white, yellow, green, square, rectangle. It's just infinite. So that, I think, is probably the easiest to introduce Vairocana. That's it. The mantra I recited is called Dependent Arising Mantra, which basically, in Buddhism, fundamental view is that everything is dependent arising. Nothing comes accidentally. Nothing is created by some almighty creator. Things appears when there's a cause and condition. So fundamentally, it's very important to be aware of cause and condition. Therefore, you kind of fiddle around with the cause and condition, if you like. Maybe the most mundane way of putting it. You try to monitor, be conscious of cause and condition, so that the result will be favorable for the time being, but ultimately the result will be liberating for yourself and others. So this dependent arising mantra is actually quite a popular mantra that you can find in the Theravada tradition, also in the Mahayana tradition, and obviously in the Vajrayana tradition. Followed with this dependent arising mantra, I've also recited 3 auspicious words which was actually uttered by Buddha himself, where Buddha said that there are 3 things that appeared on this earth that is the most auspicious, which is an enlightened, awakened being appeared on earth, meaning the Buddha came. That's the first auspicious. The second auspicious is that he taught. There is a teaching. And then the third auspicious is that there is actually a living community that upholds that teaching. So these are the 3 auspicious words that are very, very popular, both in the sutras and the mantra. So that's what I'm chanting. Okay.
Slowly